Hello, I'm Sasha Rodoy, and my campaign, My Beautiful Eyes, calls for government legislation to stop cowboy clinics like Optimax, the second largest high street laser surgery chain, wrecking people's eyes and lives. At the moment, there is no regulation. By the way, this bruise is a result of one of the side effects I'm left with following my LASIK eye surgery at Optimax in February 2011. I've lost my depth perception, so didn't see how close the wash basin was until I smashed my face against it last Wednesday, just before a meeting with Russell Ambrose. There are some in this industry who would like to buy that wash basin a drink. August 13th, 2010, age 21, Mark X underwent LASIK treatment at Optimax's clinic in Leeds. Mark suffered a number of post-op problems, one within only 24 hours of surgery when he ended up at his local A&E because one of the bandage contact lens had slipped in his eye and ripped off part of his cornea. Optimax had ignored all of Mark's complaints about the unsatisfactory results of his surgery. So finally, earlier this year, he asked for my help. Thanks to my intervention, last April, Mark met Mr. Shiraz Daya at the Centre for Sight Clinic in London for an independent consultation paid for by Optimax. Mr. Daya discovered that the operating surgeon, Dr. Malcolm Samuel, Optimax's very own medical director, had operated on a prescription 90 degrees from Mark's own. So, instead of being removed, Mark's astigmatism had in fact doubled. Man or machine? Although Mr. Daya had informed Dr. Samuel of his findings almost immediately, who in turn advised his employer Russell Ambrose of the facts, the information was kept from Mark until late June. In the meantime, I received an unexpected invitation from Russell inviting me to meet with him on the 19th of June to discuss yet again an out-of-court settlement re my own claim. After a number of meetings, we did finally reach an agreement last week, which included Russell's handshake, agreeing to work with me to look at and improve the workings of his company and promising his support for my endeavours to improve the entire industry. Back to Mark. After my meeting with Russell on the 19th of June, Malcolm Samuel called Mark and asked to meet with him as a matter of urgency. They met in Leeds, and Malcolm told Mark he was very sorry his astigmatism had accidentally been doubled, unfortunately a fault with either the Nidec laser or the software used to send the settings to the laser. He also told Mark, coincidentally, Nidec lasers in 6 of the Optimax clinics had recently been replaced with new Schwind lasers, and the old Nidecs destroyed, so no evidence. When I mentioned this to Russell later, he told me to the contrary. They are in fact in the Optimax graveyard, presumably therefore available for inspection. Meanwhile, Russell Ambrose told me at our last meeting on the 25th of July that in fact it was surgical error. Malcolm had admitted it months ago, and yes, I guessed correctly. Russell had tried to settle with me before I found out. Mark then gave me his authority to discuss a possible resolution with Russell Ambrose to avoid lengthy litigation. Russell met with Mark on the 18th of July when Mark agreed to accept £45,000 in full and final settlement with a gagging order. Last Thursday, Mark emailed a copy of his agreement to me, asking that I check it for him as all the solicitors he'd contacted refused to do so, advising he took it to court. But Mark was adamant. He preferred to accept a quick payout without protracted legal proceedings, as was the case for Myra Pridham, another Optimax patient, who spent more than 6 years in litigation before an out-of-court settlement only 10 days ago. There's another player involved here, a patient with problems also caused, allegedly, by surgical negligence. The operating surgeon, Dr Sitapa Madhusudan. I was supposed to meet with Russell again last Friday to discuss this patient before signing my agreement, and Mark had promised not to sign either, until Russell had agreed to settle with the other patient too. I emailed Russell and told him I was personally checking Mark's agreement and would bring it with me to our Friday meeting. But, desperate to keep Mark quiet, and knowing how desperate Mark was not to lose the chance of 45k at such a young age, behind my back last Thursday, Russell contacted Mark, who signed the agreement that evening. When I found this out, via an email from Mark sent to me at 10:30 that evening, I decided I was unable to trust Russell or his handshake, so decided to refuse his settlement offer, and went straight to Twitter, and now this video. The only reason Russell was paying Mark £45,000 was to keep him from exposing Malcolm Samuel's negligence. How does that look? Even his own medical director can't be trusted to get it right. I hear Russell hasn't yet paid Mark. Deservedly so, as it was only with my help that Mark was in the position he was. As Russell told me, had I not been involved, Mark would simply have accepted retreatment and been none the wiser. Meanwhile, if you've had surgery at Optimax and have concerns about your results, please contact me via the link below. Do not be put off by the lengthy patient consent form you signed. It's really not worth the paper it's written on. Mark and I both signed the same consent form. Bye now.